welcome. Thanks for getting up so early. A few sleepy eyes I see around the place, but thanks for joining us. We're going to have a great morning. We've got a great topic to talk about. In fact, this is one of the most important topics you'll ever hear this year, I think. So, the 7 organisational habits that drive high performance. We're very excited about it. We're at Insync Surveys very passionate about sustainable high performance. We were going to keep this a secret, but we thought that we actually better share it with you guys. So here we go. So let me share it with you. We've done some research that's involved looking at the views of over 100,000 employee responses to surveys involving around 200 organisations. So that's a lot of data in a database. And what we've done is we've split that data into the really high performance companies and the low performance companies, and we've actually excluded the ones in the middle. So we've probably got 50 high, 50 low, and excluded the 100 in the middle. And then we've said, well, what is it that most differentiates those top organisations from the ones on the bottom? And we came up with about 12 main things. And we sorted those 12 main things into 7 main categories. And we said, well, what are those 7 things? And those 7 things turned out to be things that are done day after day after day by the high performers, but they aren't really done that much by the low performing organisations. So we thought, well, a good word for those is habits. What are the organisational habits that the high performers do day after day that the low performers don't? So that sets the scene. So what is sustainable high performance? Now that's a tough one because we didn't get all the data under the sun, but we drove this split between the high and low performance based on what the employees' views were in terms of whether the organisation was committed to high performance. We also interviewed CEOs from the high performance companies to ensure that we got the right split between sustainable high performance and low performance. And it's all about the single biggest difference between the high performing organisations and the low performing organisations. If you split that database and you say, well, what are these employees, what's their view of the world versus the ones in the low performing organisations, is the senior leaders in the organisation have a vision for the future that inspires me. That's the difference. Wow. That's the single biggest difference that sets apart the high-performing organisations from the low-performing organisations. Have you and your organisation got that inspiring vision? So vision is all about the leadership creating the leadership culture and messaging. So that's the single biggest difference between high-performance and low-performance companies. The second one, and we did a poll, we put these 7 up on our website and we asked people, well, what's going to have the biggest impact in terms of high performance? This has got the most votes. So take a look at this one. Communicate clear strategies and goals. Do your employees really understand your strategies and goals? Are they that clear that if you ask 10 different people, they'll all give you a very similar answer? Are they that clear? Now, a lot of organisations have 70-page strategies and never really try and encapsulate them in a few short sentences for the employees. Is your organisation good enough to do that? Is it that clear? Because that's a big differentiator between high performance and low performance companies. Thirdly, develop your people. Now, you know, I love this one because I'm absolutely convinced that this is a huge differentiator between those high performance and low performance companies. Those that develop their people. And I love the quote that's attributed to Benjamin Zander, the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra. He says, I set as a goal the maximum capacity that people have. I settle for no less. I make myself the relentless architect of the possibility of human beings. Can you just imagine that? So he's the conductor of the orchestra, and he sets as a goal the maximum capacity that people has. He settles for no less. He makes himself the relentless architect of the possibility of human beings. Now that guy has development of people in the middle of his DNA. The fourth one. Now, again, the last one and this one, they don't cost a lot of money. Does my boss or does my company recognise and thank me for my contribution? And unfortunately, for low performance organisations, the large majority of people say no. How hard is it to get that right? Not that hard. Not that hard, but it comes from the leadership. Go out of your way to recognise and thank people for their contribution. Genuinely, that's a really important word, genuinely care for your people. We all hear people saying, oh, their people are our most important asset. And then they fire 10% of them. We see it all the time. We hear about it. We hear about people treated as numbers and as robots. Now, Aussies can pick a fake anywhere. We've heard that many times, and I reckon it's true. And employees will know whether their employer is genuine, whether they're authentic, whether they authentically and sincerely care for them. And it's a psychological contract that we talk about. What has been promised to me, and therefore what will I give back in return? Will I give that extra discretionary effort that makes all the difference in an organisation or not? Will I withhold it? If you genuinely care for your people, and the high performers do, then you get a significantly greater return. It's interesting, the last three are all about people and not a big cost to get right. Number 6, listen and adapt to your customer needs. So the high performance organisations really listen. They get the feedback. They know what they want. They know what they expect. They have a high bar. They do their segmentation of their customers. They do all the things that high performance companies you'd expect to do. And low performance companies are a bit, just, you know, not really focused on the customer. And I love that photo. Keep your ears open. Really understand what's going on and serve your customers. And make it part of a habit. You know, that's why these things are called habit. Make it part of your DNA, something you do every day and all your people do every day. It's just part of your culture and a part of your DNA. And lastly, the 7th habit, continually improve your systems. Now, this is a really interesting one for me because I know of a lot of companies, and I've been involved in companies in the past that got all the first ones right but didn't get the last one right. And they thought, let's inspire people, let's do all the right thing by the people, but then actually let's piss off our people by not fixing up stuff. So you've got to be disciplined. You've got to do get the whole lot of stuff right. And there's nothing more frustrating to employees than systems that aren't working. So put the effort in. And I see Tom nodding. Tom's big on the systems. And if you need some systems sorted out, you better talk to Tom. So be serious about it. Now, it's tough with legacy systems. There's a lot of hard stuff around this, but again, your employees will know if you're really serious about this stuff or not. So that's it. The secret's out. You all know now the difference between high performance and low performance organisations. They're the differences. They're the ones to continually make a habit. A lot of this stuff's driven by the people in this room. And that's why I love this slide. In fact, is it a slide? It's a beautiful image. Now, my daughter's done a lot of these images. She's very quirky and she's an artist, and that's her way of saying everybody's watching. And guess who they're watching? They're watching every one of us. They're watching us as leaders. They're taking their cue from us. Are we visionary? Are we setting clear goals? Are we developing our people? Are we serious about that? Are we thanking them for their contribution? Are we genuinely caring for them? What about the customer stuff? Is it really in our DNA? And are we continually improving our systems? And the last slide I'm just going to leave up there because it's actually got the 7 habits written down, and it's got to be part of who you are. It's got to be a way of life. Embed it and really live it, and make it part of every little bit of your culture and DNA. So that's a great way to end.